afternoon. This is Pam with Follow Your Brush, and I know lately I haven't been following my brush online anyway. I've been sharing a lot of things that I've been doing with my fountain pens, which has been tons of fun. And I love doing that, and I probably will do more of that. But I hadn't painted for a while. Part of the reason was I had to have some surgery, and so fountain pens were kind of easier to play with than sitting up and painting for long periods of time. But anyway, that has nothing to do with my video today. I have been doing some color studies and have just become addicted to these. What I'm doing, not with just my watercolor sticks, although I have them here for this painting. I've been doing swatches, trying different colors, mixing them with other colors. This is opera pink, alizarin crimson, some quin sienna, trying to get some colors for my flower petals. And I still have more work to do on this. This is not finished. Then I also worked on some colors that I thought might be good for the leaves. This is phthalo turquoise and yellow, Hansa yellow light, and Danthron blue, new gamboge. But this one I really liked for geranium leaves, and that's the rich green earth and the phthalo turquoise. This was just something I was playing with. It was the alizarin crimson and phthalo turquoise. This is the opera pink and quin sienna. So what I drew this out ahead of time in pencil, and then I did go over it with my Micron pen, not because I want to be coloring in the lines like a coloring book, because as you can see, I'm not staying in the lines. I like to have the loose effect, but I didn't want to lose the difference between my flowers and my leaves. So I went ahead and sketched it, and this was more about doing the color study than necessarily painting in the lines or painting freely or painting, you know, with rules. I wanted to focus more on the color theory, I guess you'd call it. So this is where I am at the moment, and I'm kind of letting this dry. I'm doing this in my Perfect sketchbook, it's called, from Etcher. It's their Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series, and it has Fabriano paper, and it's deckled edges, and it's just really a beautiful, beautiful sketchbook to work in. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of background here. Hopefully I don't mess this up with my get a little mixing bowl here. I'm actually going to put the mixing bowl right there. Got my book propped up a little bit. Put some water in here. And, oops, I went crooked. Sorry about that. Just going to add some water here. And then I'm going to take my watercolor stick, the Danthron blue. Oops, sorry, that's phthalo turquoise. I'm going to take my watercolor stick, phthalo turquoise, and I'm going to take some of this quin sienna, and let's see what color we can get for that. What I'm wanting to do is a kind of a background color for this sidewalk, and actually that's really a little bit too dark, so let me come in and add some of these other colors. I have try some of this new gamboge, see what that does to this mixture. Oh, we're still green. We're still too green. Here's my Danthron. Let me try that. I like Danthron blue. And yeah, that's giving me more of a shade color that I wanted. So this whole exercise is just an exercise in trying to play with my colors, do a little color studies, keep track of what I'm doing. This is pretty much dry. As if it's still a little cool to the touch, you know that it has, it's not quite dry. But I'm going to kind of come in here. This is kind of like a sidewalk background. And so I'm just going to kind of come in here with this light color and put that on here. In between my flowers, I have a nice watery mixture. I don't want it super dark. Just trying to come across and just give the impression of this little bit of a sidewalk here. I already did some down here. Add just a little bit more water because I want this really thin, because I want to just kind of glaze these areas without it taking over. So let's come in here, let's get some more, just kind of a light color, and it's going to dry lighter, as you know. So this is kind of the sidewalk that it's sitting on in this garden area that my friend had posted. So that, I like that, I like how that came out. The top part is actually even a little bit lighter, so let me see what else I could add to this to lighten it up some more. I do have some more watercolor sticks. One thing that I have discovered in doing my color studies recently is that I have totally been overlooking my buff titanium. Buff titanium is a little opaque, but when you add it to some of these colors, it really gives it a nice, soft appearance. Get some more in here. The watercolor sticks, if you're not familiar with them, they work just like pigments in the pan, except they call it pigment in your hand. And you can use every single bit of it. You can cut off pieces to put in to refill colors in your pan, but you can also just use it like this with the brush. It's a little less expensive than if you were to buy a tube of paint. So this is a little bit lighter. Got some dripping off there. I'm just gonna let it drip. Put it in the water there. Mix it up. You can see how it's kind of mixing and separating even in the water. But let me see what happens when I come over this. So I want this a little bit lighter on this section. I can come back over this one too. It's not going to hurt. And the buff titanium just makes it a softer appearance. See that? And that's kind of what I want for this part of the painting up here. I don't want it to be totally take the whole focus away from my flowers. And it's not as dark as the bottom. So by using this buff titanium, I'm hoping I can kind of get this background in here a little bit. Some of my greens moving a little bit, that's okay. You can do that, I don't mind. But see how that buff titanium just really softens that color that I had already mixed. This is one thing I'm enjoying about doing my color studies. I actually have a swatch book and color study book that I've been working on. Learning what they do when you mix them together and the difference that it makes. So let me let that dry. Now I've touched the water here. So got another bloom here. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to go over it, pretend like it's supposed to be there. It almost looks like a little flower shadow. It's not what I really wanted to do, but this is more about color, studying the colors that I'm getting. And so we'll go with that. I actually kind of like what it did. With watercolor, you just kind of have to bide your time and go with it. I am going to go back into this blue here a little bit. This is a little darker up here. It's like a little window box. This, I don't really want a lot of detail up in this area, the background. It was just for, mainly I want to make my flowers stand out. But while they're drying, we'll just do this part. Just doing a little dry brush here. Hopefully you can see that. Just actually not even getting every spot. Just kind of give it a feeling of I'm gonna leave some white in my paper. Just kind of give this the feeling that it's a sidewalk there, maybe. So that's the combination with the Indanthrone blue and then I added the buff titanium for this section, and then this section is even darker. The this area right here, there's some flowers up in there, but I'm just gonna dab some greens in here, and I don't really want to make it stand out. It's just the background. So just that's all I'm going to do for that. A little bit more blue so I have some contrast. And this door was a little bit blue. So I'll bring some of the Indanthrone blue. So my purpose today was just to do some color studies and work on that. But now that I'm feeling better and I'm recovering from the difficulties I was having, I'm just really painting more and able to sit up more and paint more, which is really fun. So I have been doing a lot of color studies and working on my paintings again, which just brings me great joy, because I love to paint, and this is what I like to do. I have a little bit of a flower pot in here. It's not really showing, but I'm going to put it in there now that this is drying. So we'll get some of that in there as well. A little dry brush here, like this is concrete. And just make some marks. If your brush is not really totally wet, put a little bit of pigment on there and just kind of come back and forth, and it's what we call dry brush. In fact, you can probably even hear it as it comes across the page. It's just kind of disrupting the page a little bit and putting some texture in there. Let me come back to my flowers for just a minute now that they are dry. So I want to come back in with some of this opera rose. This is a beautiful color, this pink color. I started with the opera rose, so I would not lose the placement of my flowers. And as you can see, I've done a little dry brush on this as well. Back in here and just kind of freshen some of these up with a little bit of dib dabs of opera rose in here. And kind of bring that to life a little bit. Just kind of what we call stippling. You just kind of still more like the dry brush, but you can see the bristles just make little marks. And like I say, this is not about staying in the lines by any means. I just sketched it ahead of time for practice, for one thing, and then also just to just give me a guide where I want it to go. I'm going to put some more water there with the pink where that little mistake happened. Put some more pink down here. Just kind of dib-dabbing. Call myself the dib-dabber. It's kind of the way I like to paint. Got some little tiny beds. So this is what I'm doing today. I've been doing a lot of painting. I'll continue with my fountain pens as well, but I just wanted to share some painting with you today because I haven't done that in so long. But I do enjoy it, and I like what it's doing. I think I might want to try a little bit more my phthalo turquoise. And yes, it's the same dish I had the other one in, but it's kind of, I like this green. I'm just going to kind of drip some in here in some of the places where the leaves might be a little darker. In the center of the plant, just to kind of give some value. Usually darker underneath and lighter on top. So this is my phthalo turquoise and that rich green gold, and that was the combination that I found when I was doing my color study that I really liked. So we're going to drip some of that in. Just kind of make some of that pink pop out. So I hope you're doing well. If you've never followed me before, I should have said welcome before, but I didn't. I'm sorry about that. I do watercolor, fountain pens, inks, but mainly watercolors, what I really enjoy. And so that's what we're doing today. Just doing some geraniums sitting in the pot. Now you see there, that's a lot of phthalo turquoise. But I'm going to add some, I'm going to do this mixing right here on the page. It'd be a little bit much, but I'll just spread it out. And then when you get the darker greens in there, it does kind of make my flowers pop out. These are darker down here, and then down in here we have some really dark leaves. This is kind of like underneath the planter area where some other plants growing. So I'm just going to dib dab those in too. Nothing special. Get some more water and some of my green, and we'll just kind of dip that in here because this area is darker underneath where the planting's going on. So there you go. That's just my little playtime for today. And I kind of like it. I might need a little bit more contrast up at the top. I'll let it dry, and then I'll come back and look at it in a little bit and see if I want to darken any of this and make these flowers stand out better. But for right now, I'm happy. Thanks for liking, subscribing, watching, and all those things that we do on YouTube. Talk to you later. Bye.